Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be on this big, beautiful planet we call home. We are the Daves, and as always, we want to welcome you to our show. And Gunter says hello and gives you the salute of the Drinks and Daves.
How you doing? How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing okay, Dave. How are you? Boy, it looks like it's standing room only.
Right?
In the lounge tonight. Our barflies are just crawling all over the bars and everything else. As always, guys, please say hello. Tell us what you're drinking, what you're smoking, as long as it's legal. Well, even if it's not legal, just lie.
Illegal here, buddy.
So what's going on, Dave? I have a day to tell you about.
I think if you don't like these, it's much more economical.
It is, but but there's only one problem with not lighting it. It looks stupid.
Fair enough. And
oh my God, look who's here early. Yep.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Rich.
Hello, PB.
Crank that up a little bit. There you go. And Pete, we'll get to his comment when we got a few more folks. He kind of jumped the gun, but good to see him here.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, my day. This is what my day really felt like.
You stepped on a scorpion.
No. It just started out because one of the songs that I wanted to use for my shave video today was not available, so I had to go into a separate video editing program that takes 100,000 years to render, and then I had to render that, edit it, and then I still had to get to the bank. Because today is Monday, it's Barber Errand Day, to really upset our friend Steven, it's actually my Saturday number 2. So, and then everybody that was driving, that thing that you posted about Arizona having the craziest and the angriest drivers, I proved that point today. Because, okay, now let me ask you this. Okay, you're from California. Okay, so let's say you're on a highway. 2-lane or 3-lane, doesn't matter. The far left lane is the speed lane, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, out here, apparently, they don't understand that. Maybe it's because people don't know derecho and izquierda, because everybody hangs out in that left lane, and it was...
Okay, I gotta tell you, because I pointed out there's a sheriff's deputy that does YouTube and other social media videos that works in your county where your shop is, right?
Right, in Pinal County,
and he's hilarious, and he's just traffic unit, right? That's all he does is traffic stops. Which is, I would love that job, right? All the people that tick you off, you just pull them all over, right? But his boss, he does the patrols where they look for people camped in the left lane. So you got to watch those videos because and he'll go up to their car and go, do I need to get a tent? Because you were just camped there for an awful long time.
See, he can get away with it because he's got a badge. If we do something like that, there's a chance we're going to get shot. So anyhow, that's how my day went. That's why I'm drinking coffee.
I was going to say, if you had a rough day, what's with the coffee?
Coffee calms me down. Nice cup of coffee and a nice cane Daytona cigar.
Really? All right.
Yeah. How about you?
Oliva G, which I gotta get the green screen because then you don't have. There we go.
There it is.
But the cane is also an Oliva. They've got several offshoot brands. So
it's actually pretty good.
We're doing this. I'm in the downstairs lounge. Yeah, because it's super windy today. So if you go on the bottom deck, it's a little bit protected, but you got to get everything down here.
This is the perfect thing.
Right.
Don says the left lane is for illegal speeds only. That is correct. There should be a special wall, and you should have to have a certain number of horsepower before you're allowed to stay in that side.
And I've heard the cop say that in his videos because they'll say, well, I was going the speed limit. He goes, it doesn't matter, right? Left lane's for passing. You get over, let everybody go as fast as they want, and then let me take care of them, right? You're not the sheriff. What do you? So you're drinking. You already told what you're drinking.
Yeah, coffee.
I'm on a Highland Park Twisted Tattoo, just because I miss. You kind of get on a track or whatever. So it's been what the hell I've been drinking, Dave? I got Ardbeg, tons of Ardbegs.
Well, if I could do it, I would do the throat singing. Because unfortunately, I've got a bottle that I need to bury, a bottle of Highland Park Volknut that is now empty. So all I've got is the Viking Heart left, and there's I've got to be very careful with that because that's not easy to find.
No, this Twisted Tattoo stuff too. When I went to a tasting once, and they said that it's been discontinued, which I was bummed because I loved it. And then I saw it in a store, and so I bought like 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw it again. And I think I even got a third because I was like, "Oh, it's discontinued." And then I saw it all over the place. I was like, "What the?" And now I can't find it again.
Oh, now comes the truth from the ever-knowing, all-knowing Panteja says what messed him up this weekend. What messed you up this weekend?
I don't even know what she's referring to.
Oh, no, I know what it is. Because she wasn't there to calm you down, to be there with you.
Yeah, but did I say something messed me up this weekend?
No.
I don't remember. That was 45 seconds ago. I can't even.
Well, once again, all of you barflies that are in there, thank you for saying hello. Please, in the chat section, say who you are, what you're drinking, if anything. And so how's your day been? You seemed a little stressed out as well.
You know, it wasn't stressful except for that I got a last-minute 4:00 meeting that lasted till 5:00. So I had between 5 and our show start to get home, move everything from upstairs down. You know, it just kind of little, threw me off. But we're here.
Plus you've got home stuff going on as far as DIY repairs. Well,
We do,
I wouldn't call
yeah.
them DIY, but
Not me. Somebody else be doing it, but
right. Well, and I want to say this publicly so everybody has a witness. Pantea, there is a package coming your way for both of you that will be shipped on the 18th. I just want to make sure somebody doesn't bogart the package. Not that we don't know who it is.
Bogart. So let's get this. PB jumped the show start with a comment. So
Yes.
appreciate that. Diplomatica Reserva exclusive rum. I've seen that on the shelves. I'm not a big what the hell rum do I drink? It's the 3-star. I think we talked about it here once, but I haven't experimented a lot with rums. But today's show is supposed to be back to school, so I wanted is Low Country, is that like a known thing? Like, do you know what he means by Low Country?
I think it's either Florida, South Carolina, or Florida or South Carolina, as I'm guessing, because they have marshes and stuff. Could be Alabama.
Oh.
Could be Alabama. Could be on the coast there. So, PB, tell us which one
Whoa,
we're right.
Wait, did you marry your cousin? Because that would be Alabama, right? I mean, we can.
And
narrow it
ladies
down
and
by
gentlemen,
that.
the views and policies of the other Dave do not necessarily.
What? They
we don't want.
totally
We
do.
don't. Yeah, but we don't want all of our Alabama people.
All
That could be our sweet spot. We're waiting for 100 at our
Well, there you
YouTube
go.
channel,
Okay, South Carolina. You
but
was right.
Alabama could be our sweet spot, and you just ruined it.
You was right. You
You're
said that.
ignoring it. You're ignoring what I'm saying. You just yeah. Oh, by the way, we might as well say it now.
Well, we
Guys,
only have 3 people on that. What do you
I
think
know,
the
we
chances
had-
are there from?
we had 7. That must have
Oh,
upset
whoops.
somebody.
Sorry.
Maybe they all went to the bathroom. Oh, there's 4. See, they're just going to the bathroom and coming back. I
Okay.
think. We got to update. We've got to probably remodel that bathroom. We probably
All right,
should.
so he mentioned going back to school meant hot weather, football practice, and a beach lifestyle. Man, so did you do sports in high school?
Yes, I did.
Football?
Football, baseball, wrestling, diving.
Holy cow, you didn't study a lick, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Oh,
I
sound
did.
like you're busy.
You learned the one-handed method. Oh, I can't say that. There's mixed company. On bathing suits.
So wait, if you did football and swimming, you were not like a big lineman dude or something.
No, I was a running back.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, I started out my freshman year. I started out as a linebacker, and then everybody else grew, and I didn't.
because I've heard tell about like twice a day practices and like intense stuff for football players. It just sounds hellacious.
In high school?
Yeah,
No.
you don't do that.
Not here. No. Yeah, and then diving was my other one, and then wrestling, and then baseball. Baseball was my favorite until my sophomore year, and then I realized that, wait a minute, there's cars, and cars get girls. And so my sporting went down to one sport, baseball and hot rodding.
Man, baseball, that's a lot of standing around. Even if you're playing, it's a lot of, unless you're the pitcher.
I'm a barber, so it's like not too much different than what I did
Yeah. That's funny. All right.
Well, no, what happened by my senior year, everybody else, if I was going to go out on the football, in football, I was going to get murdered. So it was like, no, let's do something else. And I had a good arm, so
Yeah. So
How
did you
about
go
you?
to high school in Arizona?
yes.
Oh, you've been that city, but Rich. Oh yes, Rich marching band, riding the bus lugging a big drum case. Yeah, because Rich, I know until just a few years ago went to. They had an alumni night at his high
Yes.
school, and he would play in the alumni band, which is pretty cool.
Right.
I've seen those.
Well, see, the thing
Yeah.
is, I didn't get a chance to start playing musical instruments till later in life, because in the schools that I grew up in, if you were in band or orchestra stuff like that, that was a one-way ticket to dumpster getting beat up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, even drama. I was going to do drama, and then
Oh.
no, yeah, you were threatened with bodily harm.
All right. What was your first car, Dave?
My first car was a 1966 Mustang Coupe with pony
Woo!
interior
In
and
high
style
school?
steel wheels. Yes.
Did you buy that
I
yourself?
no, I lied about my age to get a job at Kinney Shoes, so I was like a mini Al Bundy, and saved all my money and bought for $3,000 a 1966 Mustang, which is now worth, well, we're not even going to talk about that.
Because it's not in your possession anymore, right?
No,
Yeah.
most
What
of those
color?
cars, they went away when I went into the military.
What color was it? Was it red?
It was
Blue?
Grabber Blue.
Grabber.
Grabber Blue. If you look up Grabber Blue on the, it was a really bright.
That sounds very inappropriate.
Okay, well, no. I did that the Pan Am blue color.
Yeah.
That's
like that.
basically the color it is. That's the
Yeah.
color it was. Yeah.
I went
I
to
had
college with a dude that had a Mustang that was very similar to that color, like show kind of quality.
Yeah, cars were a big thing. I mean, I had that. I had a '67 Camaro RS, and I had a 1973 Corvette.
Oh, you're all about the American. You have a Corvette now.
Yes, I do.
You
Yes.
just like to go in a straight line very fast.
No, they handle well. They handle very well.
Do they?
Mhm.
Oh, so here's a sweetie. There's a sweetie. Old
Oh
Cutlass
no,
Supreme.
that's a party barge, man. You could get everybody in there.
Yeah. I don't remember what car it was. We were in elementary school, and my mom, I don't know where the hell she got this thing. It's a big old car like that with the pleather seats in the back. And so you just slide from one side to the other, going around the corners. Yeah, that thing was
What did you
massive.
drive in high school?
The bus? I didn't have a car, man. I didn't get a
How about-
car till I was in college.
What did you drive in college?
My first car was a Pontiac Fiero.
Ooh, those are coming back hot and heavy now.
Are they?
They're hard- yeah, oh, yeah.
It had like no power, but you never had to slow down cornering in that thing because it was about 1.5 inches off the ground. So if it was wet outside, it wouldn't corner. You just keep sliding through the intersection, because it weighed about 7 pounds.
Did you have the SE with the V6 in it?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, there was I think the S and the SE. The S was a 4-cylinder. The SE was a 6-cylinder, and then some crazy people decided to start putting 8
No, I think it was
cylinders
just a 4-cylinder then.
Okay.
It was cheap, but it was a heck of a fun car to.
on. Oh yeah, they're neat
Better
cars. They're fun. So today we're thanks to PB, we're doing the back to school thing. So I guess we're hopefully you guys in the lounge, since obviously there's no waiting for drinks right now. Tell us what your favorite memory going back to either high school. Let's do high school. Major Rich, very nice, 1966 Chevy Caprice and a '72 Beetle. And
That
why
was
do I picture Rich with a white Beetle?
Van?
No,
Oh.
with a white VW Beetle with a blue and red stripe and a helmet and a 53 on it. Herbie, and he called it Herbie.
Herbie.
So that's what we're gonna do. So Dave, what is your most memorable high school back to school memory? Because we'll probably end up on food like we always do anyway.
Shut 'em. I didn't enjoy the act of being in school much myself. It probably taking I was a photographer was the thing. And I think I might have said this once that like I was going to be an engineer until I hit, I don't know what it was, pre-calculus, I think. And I said, oh,
Or
screw
got
this.
well, you didn't become an engineer because you got smart.
Well,
Well, I'm saying goodbye now because my wife's an engineer,
yeah.
so I'll be dead soon.
But so I had all my science, all my math, everything done. So my senior year, I was taking photography, yearbook, jewelry making, ceramics, all this stuff because I didn't need anything.
Oh,
But
okay.
I love to take sports pictures, and because I was in yearbook and newspaper, we wound our own things so you could burn as much film as you want. So that's probably
Sure.
the fun part of just shooting the heck out of
But now, when
whatever
you
I want
went,
to.
were you happy to see people that you hadn't seen all summer? Because I don't know about you, but when we were growing up, we would get out like around the 5th of June, and we wouldn't go back to school until like September 8th. So we had
Yeah,
a full 3 months off. I know that doesn't, you don't even see that anymore. But
yeah, it's
they
been short.
kids don't have summer vacations like they used to.
No, is that good or bad?
Well, I would say probably from a teacher standpoint, it's probably bad because you figure the kids have had 3 months off. Their retention from the last year was probably squat. And then
Yeah,
the first week, the teacher's just trying to rein everybody in. So
yeah.
I would say probably having, now how is it now in the high schools, like where you're
It's
at?
a much shorter break, or it feels much shorter. I mean, they've started. What we're in the beginning of September, and they've been back almost a month now.
So how
Yeah.
long do they go before do they get more small breaks throughout the year?
No, no, but they get out pretty early. I guess it's just shifted.
Hmm.
But yeah, it is weird that I mean, you hear about that you lose knowledge over the summer, and like you said, they got to catch up. So
I would say my fondest memory of going back to school is Saguaro High School here in Tucson on the far east side of town had 2 lanes, 2 lanes going north, 2 lanes going south. Now, why they did that, I don't know, because you put guys with hot rods in a 2 lane highway or a two
oh,
lane road. Yeah, so usually most of us would get there about 7:30 in the morning, and we would drag race in front of the school for an hour. But going back is seeing what everybody did to their cars the previous summer if you didn't see them, and seeing how the different groups, so you had the cowboys, you had the jocks, you had the hot rodders, you had what we call the stoners, and seeing how they all played out. And then really the biggest memory is seeing how the young ladies developed over the summer.
all right, fair enough,
You know,
fair enough. So we were gonna. The other thing was is that so everybody knows Dave and I said we're gonna spend as long as we can not talking about food because
damn it,
that's the question I want to keep asking is
damn
like
that was my
what
next thing.
what lunch and all that. Well, I know I'm thinking about the cafeteria and all this and that, and I'm like, wait a minute. We said as soon as we get on food, it just stays there forever.
Well, see, Pantanos, so they start in mid-August and end
Mhm.
at the end of May. Okay, and I guess like where Rich is from, they had built-in snow days. Tig Lily, welcome, says that in Europe still takes the entire month of August. That would be nice. Take a whole month off. Just take a month.
You know.
Everything shuts down.
So what did you worked at a shoe store during high
Worked at
school? Is that your only job?
Kinney Shoes. Started working at Kinney Shoes, and then after that, I went to work at Brunswick, a bowling alley.
Like
Worked at a
spraying
bowling.
the shoes and stuff, or did
No,
you
no,
work
no. I
behind
no,
the?
I was really into bowling, but I worked behind in the machine. I pretty much did all the different positions around the bowling alley,
Mm.
just to make some cash because my day on high school, like on a Friday, you get off school, you run home, lie about doing your homework to your parents or to my mom. My dad was already passed away. Head to the car wash, meet everybody at the car wash. You wash and wax your cars. Go to the gas station, fill up for $6, and then spend all night on Speedway, which was our cruising boulevard through here.
Dude, you must have been going through gas like crazy and tires.
Yeah, but
Yes.
yeah, but everything was so cheap. I mean, you could fill up your gas tank for $6, $7.
Yeah, but you were making 47 cents an hour.
Well, that's true. No, $1.90.
How do you
Plus,
remember this?
no, $1.90 plus commission because I was a shoe salesman.
Oh,
Yeah. But what was cool about being a shoe salesman is you're in the mall, and it was literally like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Because at a shoe store you wore a suit and tie, and when you wear a suit and tie, it was a very very it was a good thing for
here we go.
acquisitions. I guess would be the best way. Oh,
Mr.
don't shake your
Mr.
head.
Professional selling his slip-on loafers and super.
Oh no,
cool.
but I have some of the things in Married with Children when Al Bundy's trying to put a shoe on a certain individual. Some of that is very, very true, and especially in the summer when it's 105 in Tucson.
Well, I'm sure. Well, I worked one of my first jobs in high school was Wendy's, right? Because I decided I needed a job. Somebody came into a class saying they just quit Wendy's, so I went in there after school, and of course, boom, hired. But I worked with this dude. It was very weird. He was one of these. He was ex-military, he said, and he was, I don't know, he seemed old as dirt. I think he had to have been in at least his late 20s, maybe his 30s, but working at a fast food joint. But the thing was the understanding was if you work the takeout window and somebody comes through in a short skirt, then one person takes the money and you queue up the next person to hand out their food. So everybody got to appreciate,
I
the
see.
short skirt at the drive-through.
Yeah.
But swipe the used tire. What would you do with a used tire, Rich?
I don't even want. Do we really want to know?
Probably not.
Do we want to know? So yeah. Other than that, I'm trying to think of what other high school. The first football game of the season. That was always fun because everybody would show up. All the students would
rally
show up.
and all that
Yeah,
stuff. And
yeah, I mean it was fun. Other than that,
okay, well, what else do you just remember? Because when I think of school,
but you're going to get mad at me when I tell you what it is.
it's girls, boobs.
No,
Oh,
no, food.
okay. Well, okay. Hold on. We'll hold on to you because I'm thinking lockers, right? The twisty thing with the locker,
The combination locks.
right? Did you have
Mhm.
and you forget it and you're spinning around and all this stuff and you got that and the rubber I mentioned last time, the red rubber balls that had that smell where you could back in the day you could play dodgeball.
Oh yeah, we used to play.
Stuff like
We
that.
didn't have dodgeball here. We had something called trench, and what it was is trench. Instead of using the rubber playground balls, the red ones that had that funky smell, we used volleyballs at very very high
Oof.
pressure, and so we would get on a basketball court, and the half court would be the line, and then you'd play trench, and it was just like dodgeball, except you were using a volleyball that you could sometimes palm. Oh, it was brutal. It was a
that would
brutal
bruise.
sport. Yeah, it was a brutal sport.
All right, so Rich would just use up what was left of those things, is what he's saying with the tire. All right, Dave. All right,
What?
let's hear it.
Yeah, dodgeball with
Call-
anger. That's exactly it.
High school food.
Okay. Well, I can honestly say I never once in high school ate in the cafeteria. Not once. Not once.
They wouldn't let you in.
No, we had an open campus, number one, so we could go and there was fast food places all over the place, but we also had a snack bar. And that is where I first experienced the beauty and the wonder that is those little tiny burritos. They were
Oh,
$1.
yeah, we
They were $1. Now, granted, they're basically the same burritos you get in a 12-pack at frozen burritos, and you have a meat-type green chili substance in them. But the other thing there was this little dessert, and we've talked about this. It was kind of like a Butterfinger, but not, and it had chocolate on the top of it, and it was in a little square.
Oh, yeah, the Special K bars.
Yeah, but it wasn't Special K. Oh, your Blue Jays back.
Freaking yeah. They never do this. Yeah, so you can hear it. That's nice. But before we went live, it was maybe 10 feet away at a decibel, like I don't know, louder. There it is. Hello. He's upstairs. They never do this.
Wow.
Well,
Well, but
never
they're
mind.
happy. Hey, you know what? Look up and tell them to go sign up on our YouTube page.
Could you make an account?
So PB says a smoking area. Well, there wasn't a smoking area per se, But Vicksburg was the street that was right next to our high school. And I felt so bad for the people that lived on Vicksburg because every morning that's where the stoners would hang out. And if anybody wanted to smoke a cigarette, that's where they hung out. So basically, these poor people would come home from work and their driveway would have used cigarette butts and other paraphernalia just littered all over their yard.
Yeah.
So
Tig Lily got ruined for barbecue. She must, because you grill a lot, so she must be talking about like the pulled.
no,
soupy barbecue.
she doesn't like. There's only one barbecue sauce that she likes, and it's a mesquite type barbecue sauce. But
Ooh.
I've never heard this story. So Tig Lily, please, unless she's talking about that barbecue sandwich that you used to get through the snack bar. Remember those? It was like a pulled pork
slopped around
meat.
the yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so what was funny is I don't know if my parents are. It's funny. My parents usually watch, but they feel like they shouldn't comment because I wouldn't appreciate it. I said, "No, David,
No,
love it when
that
you guys
no, we
comment."
love it. Yeah, especially when your dad did last week. That was wonderful.
So same with you. We had the main cafeteria line, but then there was also a snack bar off to the side, and they had. I remember just the bagel with cream cheese was one of the favorites, or you could just get a tater tots or French fries. And
Whoa. You
What?
got bagels and cream cheese and tater tots? Oh my God. What kind of bougie
Yeah.
high school did you go to?
Hey. Well, there was 2 high schools in town. I'm not kidding. There's one that was off in the country, and then there's one kind of just down in the center of town. And there was kind of a separation between,
Railroad tracks, huh?
yeah, I think not, just, there's the county, the street line or whatever. You go
Right.
here and you go there. But I went on the one that was like out of town and like 4 buildings all spread out and all this stuff. But what I remember, it is funny because lunch would cost X number of dollars,
Mm-hmm.
a day to go through the lunch line, and my mom would give me that much money, and then I would go to the snack bar and spend half of it there, and you'd have money left over. And she found out, and she goes, "Well, I'm not giving you money so you could do that." And I logically argued. I said, "You've already decided this is how much lunch costs. So if I decide to, buy something else so that I can have a little bit of," she let me get away with it. I don't think I would have let me get away with it, but that
Well,
was an income source for me as a leftover lunch money.
Well, see, the thing is, a lot of the guys that went into the cafeteria, I guess, and I don't know, my mom never did it, I don't think, but you could buy a yearly pass, I think, for X number of dollars.
Yeah.
And then you would go in and you get that card punched in the cafeteria and you'd get your thing. Well, my mom just gave me a couple bucks and said, and I would do the same thing because there was a Coca-Cola machine. And that is probably what ended up being the onus behind my love of soda, because if you could get there was nothing like being able to put a quarter or whatever it was and get that ice cold Coke with the burrito and that piece of dessert. That was the breakfast of kings, man.
The breakfast. I see.
Well, we didn't have, I guess some high schools now serve breakfast. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
Rich says our school had a dedicated smoking area called the Slab. We called the inhabitants of that the Slabites.
Okay. Yeah. So here's the parents chiming in. My mom was wonderful. It's also where I learned to put things on my French fries other than ketchup.
Mayonnaise?
Because I sat and had lunch with somebody who exclusively used mustard, which seemed
Oh.
very sophisticated and adult, to, ketchup seemed like a kid thing. And here's somebody having this.
And?
Huh?
And
And
it was gross, wasn't it?
no, I find myself, to save on sugar now, I'll
Oh.
do mustard. But then I also saw for the first time mayonnaise. And I thought, what the heck? But of course, that's just decadent.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
okay, here comes a question because, I mean, and this goes back to more like elementary school when, your mom would pack you a lunch. And mine was white bread, bologna, American cheese, and Miracle Whip. That was the standard,
Oh, that's good.
but I can't do Miracle Whip anymore. It's too sweet. It's
You know,
just too
yeah.
sweet.
You know what? I did that until I met my wife, and she was the same way. Like, we're not buying Miracle Whip, and it was a weird transition, but now it's like, I don't even think about it.
Hello, Jaro. How you doing
Yeah.
tonight? So okay. So what other memories? What other memories from school in general?
I don't know. It's just, and I was saying to my parents because we'll talk about back in the day, and they'll go, "Really? That wasn't back in the day. It was back farther than that." But just to it was, it was much more simple, right? That because I'm thinking like in elementary school, it was in Pennsylvania, and the thrill in the wintertime is when it would get so cold that there would be ice coating the playgrounds. You could just slide all over the place, and those were the days, you'd fall and bang your head on the blacktop and it would bounce because of the ice that was on there, and nobody came running out and did a concussion check.
Well, I guess the contrast for that for us was that you'd walk outside and start walking to school, and everybody would put $1 into the hat, and the first person that burst into flames would win. No, speaking of that though, I remember, like, okay, from where I lived on the east side of town, which was Harrison and Broadway, which doesn't mean anything to everybody, but it was out kind of in the desert, and to our high school, which was at Camino Seco and Broadway, was about 3.5 miles, and we didn't think twice about walking. We just left early. Nowadays, if somebody goes, "You want to walk 3 miles?" I'm going to look at them and hit them with a bat and say, "No, I'm going to drive." In fact, I drive to my mailbox. I mean,
All right.
oh,
I
the
didn't
rectangle,
mention
yes,
this
the rectangle pizza with the
because I think
sausages. The little
I think we
sausages.
talked about this before, but this was the shit. I love the rectangle pizza, and there's nothing like it.
Well, actually, there is.
Right?
There actually
What?
is. If you go down to your grocery store and get Tony's Pizza, it's 99 cents.
Are you talking
for
about? Is that the party pizza?
Yes, the crust is very similar to what we had when we were in high school. Because I remember it was the cheese that nobody ever. I mean, it's the type of cheese that you can't even think about, and then the little tiny sausages, or the little pieces of sausage,
Or
yeah,
whatever
that was
the hell
really
they were.
good. The rectangle pizza, yes.
Yeah, we had that. You had the fish sticks
Oh yes.
with salad.
Oh, we didn't have salad.
Oh no,
And the fish sticks, you could tell when that they were the pressed and particled fish. A very healthy meal for a young growing.
well, and ours weren't always heated all the way through. I don't think. I'm trying to remember. I really liked most of the elementary school, middle school lunches. Yeah, the salad with the
Yes, the weird dressing. It wasn't French. It wasn't Russian. It wasn't ranch. It was something in between.
government subsidy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny when you think
What
back.
the
Fish sticks with glitter.
Is
Okay,
this spell
Ti-
check or what the?
Tig Lily, you're going to have to definitely tell us what fish sticks with glitter are.
This is like the somebody's mom who's a stripper at night comes and helps in the lunch area. And,
I like that. Fetea says, "My mom never made me lunch, so I had to suffer through it."
cubes of now the cubes are on Tony's
Yes.
party
yes,
pizza,
Yeah.
but see that's a different crust than what we had actually. Ours was
But you-
much thicker.
Now, was the tomato sauce that was on your pizza kind of an orange, not really red?
I don't remember. There wasn't much of it. Because I know half the time we would peel off the cheese and eat that, and then you'd have this delicious, thick pizza bread stuff that was like the.
Also, okay, so Tig Lily says she's still trying to figure out the glitter.
Well, that could have just, if you take a whole fish and grind it up, it's got the
That's true. The
that would
scales
be
and stuff in it.
glittery. Yeah.
But Trunker says he's so glad he married a chef. Yeah, but you didn't have a chef.
Whoa.
Yeah, but you didn't have a chef in high school, and if you did, you get the bougie barfly award of the night.
Look at what my chef made me for fun.
Yeah, it's just school was fun, and I have. Have you been to any of your reunions? I haven't.
You know what? I think they only had one, and I hadn't even heard of it. And then, so our high school is kind of weird because as soon as school was over, people just went out. They didn't stay in that city. So the whole Facebook friends thing, you see people are all over the damn place.
Right.
So I
Well,
don't think we would get them.
we just had our 40th high school reunion. I didn't go because what's amazing is all the people that were the popular folk. They're like, "Oh, come and see us, come and see us," and then when you finally tell them, "No, I'm not going," it's like a ghost town. So what's amazing about high school is the people, if they were that type of person in high school, believe it or not, they haven't changed that much. They're
Yeah.
still the cliquish type, I think, in most cases.
Well, I think you should go to the next one. So you roll up in your Corvette with your Drinks and Dave shirt, and everybody will be jealous.
That's true. That's a good point, but that's
Yeah.
10 years from now. So, so those of you in the bar while you're sipping on your drinks, and don't forget to tip your waitresses, tell us what else you guys remember about your back to school.
I was not surprisingly, total nerd because I was like in the radio club and took electronics class and stuff like that. So that's what I remember is hanging out in the electronic. Oh Jesus, I just remembered our electronics teacher. He was also ex-military, but he was like one of those. I was in the military guy, right? Bald and still stocky, as strong as a horse.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is back in the day where you couldn't run like to the wellness center and talk to your counselor about how he called you a bad name and stuff.
No, they just
So,
beat you.
yeah, well, he had the grip strength of I don't know what, and if you're mouthing off, he just walk up behind you and grab your shoulder and squeeze, and so you're doing the whole like, and that put an end to it.
Well, that does bring out some school memories back in junior high school. I think we talked about this once before. Our vice principal, or no, our principal in junior high school was a gentleman by the name of Mr. Arriaga, and he did what they call SWATs. Now, SWATs were if you got in trouble. He had graduated from UCLA, and he was in a fraternity, and he had one of those big fraternity paddles, the ones that are made out of frickin' solid oak, and he drilled holes in it, and it had his fraternity on it, and you would get SWATs. I mean, he would haul ass and just blap you with one, and then in those days, you found out that you got SWATs at school, and then you get the hell beat out of you when you got home. So it was it was a double whammy. But see, none of that stuff, people, and I'm sure the conversations come up, especially nowadays with people saying, "Oh, I can't believe he called you that," or "I can't believe." We just went with it. I mean, I don't hold any of my teachers or Mr. Arriaga or anybody that, because I had Coach Sykes on the football team, and he had played for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he had a Super Bowl ring, and if you did something wrong on the field, he would turn the ring over, and he would thwack you with it on the top of the head, crack. Yeah, I mean it's just.
Jesus. All right, here's another.
Maybe that's why I'm a little off now.
It could be. So here's a funny comment because I was actually just thinking, okay, who's your favorite teacher? And one of my favorite teachers was our physics teacher, just
Pink
because
Floyd.
he was a cool dude, right? He just had that, you got that way of teachers can just talk and you listen and they're kind of down on your level. And then when it was time for us to do the physics lab, he'd take out little speakers, and it was a Discman at the time, I think, and he would play Pink Floyd for us while we were doing our physics lab. And we just thought,
wow,
that's
he would.
so
Now that would be a
cool.
cool teacher. The worst teacher, I think it was Chunker that asked it. The meanest teacher. Actually, there in fourth grade we had dual classes, so there was a divider down in the classroom, but they'd open it up so you had dual teachers, and we had Mrs. Keebler. Well, there was Mrs. Keebler and Mr. Cox. They were pretty cool, but in sixth grade, I'll never forget Mrs. Johnson, who was at that time at least 193 years old, and Mr. Fritz. And when you think of that, make a mental picture when you hear the word Mr. Fritz. He had very little hair on top, and he would walk around with his hands stuck halfway down the back of his pants, just walking around like a chicken. I mean, he would walk around like a rooster, and then he'd come and he'd yell in your face. And surprisingly, I became a smoker because all you could smell was the smoke. And it was scary as hell. Nobody ever wanted to get in trouble by Mr. Fritz because we was afraid he was going to eat your face off.
No, this dude Jaro had all the all the toys when he was in high school. Yeah, I didn't. I didn't have a. So as I was taking the bus, even when I was like I said, the school was like out, so it wasn't even like really biking distance in reality. And other than that, a bike was my transportation. Even in college, before I got that car, but that was, I don't know. To me, it's just the way that it was, right?
Now, we're talking about coolest teachers. The coolest teacher I ever had was Mrs. Oh God, what was her name? Mrs. Rodinger, I think. It was in 5th grade, and she seemed old at the time, but she was probably 25. But long blonde hair, glasses, the typical librarian look, and she drove a 280Z, brand new. I mean, and that was like she was like, yeah, everybody had a crush on her. Everybody. And yes, to PB, yes, our principal had a belt, and they would use it.
This is probably row 10, right? Not
Yeah.
Rocky. Elf slippers and bells. Wow. That's probably
kinda
went to
cool.
Berkeley, huh?
Well, I will tell you one thing. Somebody in our lounge today, graduated in 3 years from high school. We're talking a brainiac.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 years.
Here we go. I always wonder what jobs you can drink on the job. So I've read about, judges and things like that at lunchtime having cocktails and stuff. But there's got to be a difference between back then and now. Right now, you probably couldn't get away with this if you're almost anybody, right? Drinking when you're on the job, unless you own your own company or something. Dave, you have scotch in your shop?
No, but every once in a while I've had a beer or something in the refrigerator I've got there.
Really?
I mean, if somebody was to come in, and offer me one, and I was to offer them one, yeah, I mean, no big deal. I mean, it's
No, well,
and there's
is there
some
a law
barbershops
about
that do
that?
it. Well, it's a very vague law. You're not supposed to be able to. You can't sell any liquor
You can't
whatsoever,
sell- right.
but you can give it. But that's still really on the edge because there's a lot of barbershops now that you walk in. Hey, want a beer? But too much.
Let's see. Math teachers, halitosis. Oh, mercy. Yeah. Oh, I had a teacher that would.
Volcano breath.
She wore Bengali metal bracelets. I don't know, about 400 of them on her arms, and she would reach over you. This was like in elementary school, where she'd help you with and all you would hear is a ching, ching, ching. Oh, yeah. A thermos full of brandy. That's the way to do it. That
Yeah,
would
if you're
make you a
gonna do
little bit more mellow with the.
Oh, I wish I had the picture. I think Dave has seen it. Rich has seen it, but
You look kind of like Travolta, didn't you?
well, no, everybody says I look like Jerry Seinfeld. Let me see if I have it. I don't think I do. But yeah, everybody in the 80s, in the early 80s and late 70s, you had a comb. I don't have it here with me, but a comb with a handle on it, and that was stuck in your back pocket. And you feathered, your hair was parted down the middle, and it was feathered on both sides. That was the kind of the look. Let's see if I can find that picture. I don't know if I.
So what's the trend? What's the trend now, Dave? Because you're 100% right that, like, looking on back decades, when you see the feather haircut, you know that's 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see like a trendy
Fades.
But hasn't fades always been around?
Yeah, they have.
Wasn't that more of a traditional man cut back in the day?
Well, they were called like the contour, where they would be faded on the sides and then a little bit longer on top.
You know what crap they do now is that messy long hair stuff where they purposefully like tousle it all up and on top, and it kind of hangs in. What the?
Yeah,
I guess that's the.
Well, and believe it or not,
now.
the mullet is coming back. I don't have the picture, but I think Tig Lily and Rich, who has seen the picture before, I think they can attest that I looked like Jerry Seinfeld.
This is true. I remember that.
But this is, I don't know if you can, this is my back to school, I think first grade. Bangs.
Well,
That was the big thing. Bangs.
I had bangs.
Everybody had bangs.
Yeah.
The Kim Jong.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? We totally forgot about something we were going to start the show with.
Food?
No.
Oh, what?
Given the day.
Oh, yes, yes.
So I'm wondering, do you want to transition to that and kind of say what you want to say, and we can speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean,
No, we're
yeah,
towards
I
the end
mean,
of the
and obviously everybody here knows, this is a pretty serious day. To me, it proved, because I think everybody can. There's three things where people can remember where they're at. The day the Challenger exploded, I think people remember that day and where they were at. The day Kennedy got shot, for those people that are old enough to remember that, and 9/11. And I think that for me, I mean, the memory is burned. I had gotten up, I turned on the news, got my cup of coffee. Sharon was asleep, or no, she was awake. I take that back. She was awake, and she said, "Hey, a plane flew into the World Trade Center." I said, "What, a small plane?" Because that's all they knew at the time. And then we started watching it, and literally it was like the collective air of the entire nation just left. And what was weird is how quiet. I remember this, how quiet it was in the skies. We take it for granted, but when they shut that all down, but yeah, for me, it's just never forgetting, and it proved to me that we can be vulnerable. Because I think we had gotten on this high horse that we're not vulnerable. Nothing can get to us, and it's sad. And they do something here in Tucson every year. They replicate the number of steps from the bottom of the World Trade Center to the top of the World Trade Center, and it's done in our community center. So they have to do 3 laps around this entire community center, going up and down the stairs. So,
well, I've seen firemen that will do that on a stair stepper in full gear. So that is just, I mean, to think about lots of guys doing that day is just incredible.
Well, and the thing is, and to find out, because to find out that you have, you had a relative or a distant cousin that was in the towers, which I did, and it's something, you don't think about. In fact, you're still, and it's hard to believe it's been over 20 years. I mean, it's just, geez. And so to me, it's just, it's just something we can't forget. Not to get on a major downer, because it's just something that we all need to remember day by day. And and the thing is, to this day, I would, and tell me if I'm wrong. To this day, when you go downtown somewhere and you see a plane flying above the skyline, part of your brain, whether you want it to or not, part of your brain just kind of goes back to that day. At least it does for me, because you just never know.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think that's what you wanted to bring up, is kind of like why, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in your mind, people don't kind of keep this in the forefront as they should, maybe, every day. And I was kind of thinking about that when you said you wanted to bring this up and discuss, like, why are we not, thinking about that more often. But, one of the things about getting through a big tragedy is being able to process it and move on. And that mentally it's not healthy to hold on to that tightly. But of course, remembering, I mean, I don't think that anybody, will completely forget that. And even people that weren't around, because, I think about stuff like, Iwo Jima and things like that, where you see just like these massive efforts, by the United States or knowing, like, I wasn't around when Kennedy got shot, but I can certainly appreciate kind of the major effect or some of the other,
Yeah, I wasn't around either, but yeah, you hear about it, and you hear about. I remember my parents telling me that that the day Kennedy got shot, basically the planet stopped. It really did. It just stopped. But I think we remember, and I like what Pantea said this weekend. They were in L.A. and went to Malibu and Pepperdine and a beautiful memorial of the flags and lawn. So, I think people are still remembering. It was kind of shocking to me today when they were doing the bell ringing from New York right at Ground Zero. And there was a lot of officials there, but not a lot of just common folk. And I think that leads to what you're saying. People have moved on, and they may still think about it, but they've moved on.
Well, but what's interesting is being at because I keep thinking about this. I have not been to New York since then, and I would love to go back and see the memorial and the big pit and all that stuff. And it's like, being there doesn't change what happened or your memory of it, but somehow it has, at least on me, a major effect of just kind of solemnness and that kind of thing.
Right.
And
I do want to go because I haven't been back to New York either since it happened. And,
what does, kind of a little off topic, but, when you talk about we are vulnerable and, do you think about planes? I don't think about planes, but, I work in a hospital and we got the emergency generators and all that stuff. But, cyber attacks is what scares the hell out of me now because it, I think they are very much put, they don't want to publicize it a lot when it happens to a company because they don't want people to know that they, were attacked and paid the ransom and all that stuff. Sure. But it has happened to hospitals. And that is what kind of is always in the back of my head and worries me that, one day it's going to happen and then like the power grid goes out or, every hospital loses their computer ability or whatever. And that's going to be, massively.
Well, you bring up, like I said, I mean, it's not really back to school, but I mean, that's one of the things that we worry about when we're talking about that is the electrical grid, because really when you look at the technology, the electrical grid, it's really pretty antiquated when you think about it. And with the advent of AI and with the advent of cyber attacks, most of these computer systems, my niece's husband works for Southwest Gas, and what he does is he monitors the super, super high pressures of the natural gas going all over the Southwest. And that's all computer controlled. So one outage on a computer can shut everything down. And like Tigley says, any type of electromagnetic pulse can take out, take stuff out.
Well, what's weird though is remembering when you watch old shows and movies and you see the towers, and knowing that they're not there and what, everybody.
It's funny. Last night we watched Ghostbusters because there was nothing on TV, and there's this one part where they're going across the Brooklyn Bridge. And you see the towers, and you're right. It kind of hits you and goes, "Whoa," But I just wanted to mention it just so hey, we're thinking about it, even though we're having fun and stuff like that. But talking about that leads into my next thing. I don't know if you remember. Well, you probably do. In early when I was in elementary school and junior high school, it was still during the Cold War. And I remember we would have drills on what to do in case something was to happen. And I'll never forget this. And Lewis Black, who's a hilarious comedian, did this. He goes, they want us to crawl under a desk in the case of a nuclear attack. So they want us to get under a piece of wood, Yeah. Oh, you remember the desks that folded up and all your crap was in there? Those were kind of cool.
Peachy folders.
Peachy folders, yep.
Yeah, and the ones with the yellow ones with were those the peachies? The yellow ones with all the sports guys across the front? Yeah. Holy crap, now they get
Well, now they get laptops, don't they? They get laptops now, don't they?
Everybody gets a laptop, and then up until high school, you get a list before school starts about, here, go buy these 40 things.
Really?
Because the school here, they say we don't have money to buy this for all the students. You're going and buying pencils and erasers and a stapler and
we had to do that. Yeah, school supplies. Yeah. And I remember, well, I'm old enough to remember mimeograph paper. You probably remember that when
No. In elementary school, we did a school newsletter, and I had to run the machine to yeah, and it had that smell to
that
it.
smell. Oh, that smell.
That was the stuff.
Yeah, the
buddy.
smell of mimeograph. And then, yeah, I mean, the different things that you remember that. Oh, and I remember the first time I had a computer class, 5 1/4 inch floppies with a disc, and you put them in. It was
Oh, and you mentioned the shuttle exploding. We were in middle school when that happened. Boy, I don't remember, but that relates to the first time I ever got censored for kind of a political thing. We were on the school newspaper, and this other guy and I were in charge of the comic that we would make up. And he did one. It was the next 4th of July, and it showed space shuttles going up and exploding in the air. And they said,
too soon. Too soon.
You are not going to publish that. Yeah. I know. We thought it was.
Well,
amazing.
see, the thing is, being on the school newspaper had to be cool because, you'd walk around and you probably had that journalistic feel and, and taking pictures for the yearbook and stuff like that. And half the time people didn't know that you were on, so to speak. And so that had to be awesome.
Oh, censoring is that all? Well, Tiggle, there actually were 12 commandments, and they censored those down to 10. So it's pretty. It is pretty old. Yeah, this is another way to do it. I kind of like this a little bit better, that you just bring in supplies and throw them all just together, and whoever needs them uses them. Because then they can also be people that can't afford them.
Right.
Don't have to bring them. But
well, the one thing I wish they would do with schools is, I'm sorry, and not to get too dark and heavy about it, but but when you have a professional football player, or professional basketball, whatever, and they make 6 figures plus a year, and the people that are teachers are barely living above median income, and so obviously people become teachers not to get rich; they do it because of the love of teaching. But I think to me, what I've seen, having some friends that are teachers, is a lot of times nowadays the teachers dump the kids off at the school and they use it rather than more for education. They use it as daycare. And so they don't, a lot of parents, according to this person that I talked to, says that they don't really take a lot of personal responsibility for their kids anymore. They say, well, you need to teach my kid. You need to get it done, so.
Yeah, I don't know if it's still in the plans here, but the high school where the girls go, a couple of years ago, the plan was to take over the baseball field, move it somewhere else, and put up some housing that was more affordable housing for the teachers, because they had a hard time recruiting teachers because of the cost of living, here in the Bay Area.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
I don't know. I guess that's helpful, but I also wouldn't want to live, on a high school campus when you're could you imagine being around those kids? Like,
no,
you get off work and you just walk over and they know where you live. And
no, that could be, your house would smell a lot like eggs, I think. But PB brings up a pretty good thing. So, talking about how times have changed. So they watched Blazing Samuels on Veloci Papers in high school, but that reminded me of driver's ed. Now, I don't know if they still have driver's ed in schools, but we used to watch movies like, what was it called? Faces of Death, and the Wrong Turn at Midnight. And basically what it was meant to do was to scare the hell out of you, because you'd see a car wrecked and there'd be an arm, but there'd be no body attached to it. Those were the movies we used to watch. And then we had the driving simulators. I don't know if you guys had those in your school. We had driving simulators.
We had driver's ed. They didn't show the movies, but I remember they tried to scare the hell out of us. And to this day, I won't let anybody put stuff on the back shelf or whatever, because they would say that even a box of tissues, if you are doing 50 miles an hour, that thing's flying at the back of your head at 50 miles an hour and a crash.
Right. Yeah, you get killed by a Kleenex box.
That's rough.
Arcades. That was something that reminded me of high school. Like you'd go to an arcade. I don't even know if they have arcades
No,
anymore.
well, barely. Oh, that's sad because that was the place.
Oh yeah,
And
Asteroids,
if you had a
Centipede.
roll of quarters in your pocket, oh,
Well, the only problem was if you were waiting on a game like Centipede and Tig Lily was on it, or
you
that or Pac-Man, you'd never get on the game because, from what I understand, she was a Pac-Man aficionado. I was okay. So let me ask you this: did you play Asteroids?
oh yeah,
Okay, were you a ship hunter or were you a boulder killer?
a boulder killer. Yeah,
Okay. See, I was a ship
I
hunter.
didn't have.
I'd wait for that one last little rock, and then I'd just sit in the
You just
corner and
wait.
wait for the ships.
You
Yeah.
wait, yeah. Yeah, I remember my dad when I was in like first and second grade. He worked on a small college campus, and they had small arcade underneath. And my dad would take me to the arcade, and that was really cool.
Oh
Going to
yeah.
the college arcade.
Centipede, Joust, Tempest, all those
Oh,
fun ones.
I'm
Uh,
surprised you don't have any of those like in your house.
nah, no. So this is an interesting question. Gerald brought up. Did you guys ever have scared straight guys coming to your high schools? No, we actually took a field trip to Florence State Prison.
Whoa.
Yeah, and the scared straight guys were there, but we had to walk the gauntlet between. And of course, the prisoners knew what
No.
they were doing because they got if they scared the hell out of us, they got time off their prison sentences.
Uh,
So yeah, that was pretty scary, actually. Oops.
yeah, I put up the rich one about driving farm. That's what's crazy is they don't do driver's ed anymore, and kids like have no experience driving. At least around here, I'm sure there's parts of the country where they're still working on farms and or more rural, and you can drive without a license and stuff like that. But
Oh, here's
you know,
another thing. Talking about school, I remember the Cowboys, which we used to call the shit kickers, in our school. They would come in their pickup trucks and they'd have a 30-06 and a shotgun on a rack behind them, and nobody thought a second of it. Nobody thought nothing of it. You did that today, you'd have the
oh yeah.
SWAT team, the FBI, and 5 helicopters.
Well, and that's what I was thinking when you mentioned the drills for a nuclear bomb. Now
Hmm.
they have evacuation drills for active shooter,
Yeah,
right, and lockdown drills and all that stuff.
it's nuts. I mean, it's crazy.
Are we up past your bedtime? I mean, I know that
No, it's no.
sometimes we start at 5, but
Yeah, well, and speaking of that, don't
no,
forget everybody out in the bar.
no,
Don't forget our next show will be we're switching to Tuesdays from starting next week, Tuesdays, and we're very excited about our guest Tim from Cigars Daily will be with us at 6 p.m. next Tuesday. So make sure you mark your calendars that we'll be on Tuesdays from now on.
yeah,
But
and I'm gonna, my wife said, well, I'm not gonna watch when you got that cigar guy on, but
we're going to
it's
talk
our
more than just
it's our
cigars.
show, right? So it's gonna be more than just that. It'll probably be scotch,
Well, and not only that,
bourbon.
but well, let me say this to Mrs. Nurse Dave. If you watch the show, you can ask Tim directly things that you. I mean, this would be really for
Oh,
Tig
don't
Lily.
get me in trouble.
No. No, I'm going to include Tig Lily on this because they could ask questions as to like here'd be a perfect Christian. Tim, why? Why are they the way they are?
Because I don't know, but my business appreciates it.
No, we're going to talk more than just cigars.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk, how Tim, I know some things about Tim that we'll wait for the show that are really, really kind of cool, kind of unique and stuff like that. So, all right, guys, do me a favor. Give us a couple of final questions from the lounge on some of the back to school stuff, or ask us a question about our school stuff. What foods go with cigars? The answer to that, Rich, is yes.
No, well, that's a good one to.
How to pair, what to pair
Oh,
with
here,
cigars.
let me throw up because I said this last time, and I'll say it again. So we've got an email address for the show. It's down there at the bottom. And if you have questions that you might want to ask the cigar guy, it's much better if you email us ahead of time because I can see this be one that Dave and I have all sorts of stuff that we want to ask him. So we might end up being more focused on that than posting up the
We've
chat
got,
stuff.
I'm very happy. We have our first international guest today. So Ashish, welcome from Mumbai. Welcome, 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 welcome. Tell all your friends to subscribe to the Drinks and Dave channel.
All of them. Everybody in India. If you just get 1% of them to subscribe to our Drinks and Dave show, we'll be golden. What was your mascot?
Cougar. Swaro Cougar.
Oh, that's a good one. We were the Raiders. That's not bad.
Okay, no.
We were red
Okay,
and
yeah,
rainbow.
everybody in the lounge today, put what your high school mascot was, if you remember.
Okay, so this is a good question. We could have spent a long time on this one, but what's the best education you now provide a child of yours? And I'm going to say there's two things that they don't teach in school, or at least we don't hear about it, that they should. One is just normal everyday living stuff. Like we learned how to balance a checkbook,
Yes,
do a budget. Like you mentioned, driving. They don't teach in these schools here. They don't teach that at all.
They don't teach home economics at all anymore?
No.
Wow.
And it was a mind opener when we had to explain how a credit card charges you interest and why they charge you. I'm getting dark. Is it? It's getting darker here. It's like reverse Michael Jackson. On
EMP. Check your generators. Check your generators.
But the other one is how to. I'm going to analyze data is a little bit too sophisticated a way to put it, but how you don't just hear something on TikTok or see something posted on Facebook and take that as that's the way things are. Well, I heard it this way, so that's the truth. And, it's like, but who said it? What gives them the critical thinking stuff? I think they're kind of lacking in that.
Pantea brought up a real good point. Like for home economics, this was the same way it was in middle school. We had sewing, cooking, how to repair pants or repair a hole and stuff. And then the second half of the second semester was all about economics, buying groceries, balancing a checkbook, doing all this stuff, credit card type stuff.
Here, this is good to hear, probably because they're hopefully hearing back from either the parents or the students like, hey, you didn't prepare me for like actually living on my own. But where was the cursive? Civics and cursive writing.
Yeah, that's another thing.
We
had to.
I got to wonder, though, about cursive writing. And I think it is kind of weird that it's something that's like in the past almost for current students. But I'm torn on that because a lot of people don't even have to write anymore.
Well,
right?
And see, that brings up the hobby of pens, which we'll do in a show. Is printing with a fountain pen is not the same as having the flowing cursiveness in a fountain pen.
But that's even different. You learn the pretty.
Sure.
Pretty.
But here's another thing that Jaro did your shop teacher have all their fingers? Absolutely not. Mr. Renner had 2 fingers gone, and he would bite your face off if you screwed up. Yeah, reading a map. They don't teach how to read maps anymore.
Well, but see, that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to, right?
Right. Yeah, because
you should. It would be smart, but I remember doing that in school, right? You learned a topographic map. Right. You learned how to look at a road map and calculate distances in a trip, right? So you would know how far you're going and all that stuff.
And one of the funnest classes ever, typing. That was a great class because on Fridays, I don't know about how it was for Pantea, but on Fridays, usually the teacher was in a good mood and they'd give you this template and you would either type X's or zeros or whatever, and you just keep typing and keep typing and keep typing. And by the time you got done, you had a picture. It was an art. Aww, it was a picture of something. Yeah, typing was fun. Very cute,
Dave. Okay, but this is what's even weird is I had typing, she had typing, you had typing.
Mm-hmm.
How often did you use a typewriter? But we use computers every day now, and they don't teach, at least around here, they don't teach typing.
That's true.
Which seems crazy. Right? That should be almost like 2nd and 3rd grade because you start using a computer super early.
Mm-hmm.
This one, did I move? This one's hilarious because that's no lie, is that even to this day, so I've had the cell phone that I have now for work over 10 years. To this day, somebody asked me my work phone number. I kind of pause long enough to look up an email that I've sent and look at my signature and read the phone number on there because I don't remember what my cell phone number is.
Here's a little quick contest for us. Okay, the phone number of the house that you lived in when you were growing up, 296-4317.
Wow, you're
crazy. I mean, yeah, I remember those numbers, you know.
I know my phone number and my wife's phone number, and those are the only ones I have memorized.
What about your kids?
No, they're in the phone.
Oh, that's true. Well, this is a good. Your dad says something good. Those who don't learn history are bound to repeat it. That's actually one of the most poignant statements ever, because it's true. You know, and I don't know if they're even teaching that much history anymore. Because remember, nowadays, and we can get into a whole discussion of that someday. I see the benefits of ChatGPT in certain instances, but at the same time, when you were told by your history teacher to write a paper on the American Revolution, what did you do for the next 4 nights? You grabbed good old Encyclopedia Britannica and started going through stuff. Nowadays, it's a quick Google search, and you've got thousands and thousands of documents that you can just write. So,
yeah,
you know.
So I think we're coming up with a list of stuff maybe that we used to learn that this is the same thing as like how many cars sold now have a manual transmission. Though I will say in other countries, they're much more common. Right. So not learning how to drive them can become a hindrance if you want to expand your knowledge past your hometown. You know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you had to learn how to, because I remember a lot of the cars were. And then actually learning how to drive a car that had a stick shift on the column. That was an interesting thing.
Wow. I've never done that.
1968 Chevy Nova.
Yeah. Ponte's parents still have their phone number that she grew up with.
See, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And see, but like the ChatGPT, and I downloaded this app called DaVinci, and because I was trying to come up with some art stuff. And what's spooky about it is you type in whatever you want, like a 2-year-old golden retriever dressed in a knight's outfit while slaying a poodle dragon, and it literally renders that, and that's pretty spooky.
Yeah, I think I've got a few more comments about. We almost need to do a whole show about artificial intelligence.
I think we should.
Because I was gonna bring up a few things, but we're at almost an hour 20.
Yeah,
and we would go down this. So let's put we'll do that. We'll do artificial intelligence.
Well, let's tell them about a couple upcoming shows. Okay, first of all, next Tuesday at 6 p.m. will be Tim from Cigars Daily, and we'll find out all about him. We are also going to have one of our friends, Jerry, who is going to talk about food and smoking. Food again. Talk about smoking meats and stuff like that. And then we'll do an AI. So like what Dave said, email us with your ideas, because we would love to, expand the show. And I said it before, I'll say it again. Please, everybody that's here tonight, please tell your friends, even if they, and this sounds weird, but even if they plan on not watching the show on a regular basis, please have them subscribe to Drinks and Daves. Because right now, as most of you know, the show is simulcast on Nurse Dave's Shaving World and Barber Dave Shaves and such. We want to move that platform over, because once we do that, after we render the show when it's live, because those people that are on Dave's channel right now can't see the chat that's going on my channel, or vice versa. Whereas when we replay it, you'll be able to see all the different chat, and that'll make it a lot.
Well,
better.
And even live, we forget that, because we can see all the comments, and we forget that some people can't see a lot of the comments, and so it'd be much more fun for everybody if we can all see.
Yeah, I mean, I really, I think it would be important to do that. So, any final questions from everybody before we wrap up this show tonight? And I'll let you see if there's anything, Derek.
There you go.
Show on cars, we can do that.
Oh yeah, you want me to spend an hour and a half talking about the Tesla? I can do that.
Sure,
I can do that.
So,
anyhow, special guest star, my dad.
There you go.
He had a Tesla before I did.
Hey, tell you what, here, if you can get Elon Musk on, I'll give you a prize. I'll give you a prize.
I don't think I want to talk to that goofball. No.
But
all right.
So, anyways, well, everybody in the lounge tonight, we hope your drinks were cold, and like I said, don't forget to tip your virtual waitress. So, anyhow, on behalf of Dave and myself, I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and please join us again next Tuesday at 6 p.m. for the Drinks and Dave show. Say goodnight, Dave.
Night, Dave.
All right, see you later. Good night.